we have very similar processes, Pradeep, and so I'm looking forward to connecting with you a little bit more, like we've been talking about doing. And one thing that I wanted to bring in is that one of the things that I just heard Pradeep say that I think is important is that, he's pivoting more towards the personal side of things because that's where the interest is. I go back and forth too, where what feels interesting to me is the thing that I pursue in my consulting. So right now, I'm really enjoying living in the Mountain Dew commercial world that is crypto venture capital and working with people at that level because the people that are at the executive level in crypto are very open-minded, and they're the type of people that are experimenting with all of these kind of consciousness ways of solving things. And so that's why I've kind of pivoted back to that world. For once I left Google, I was very much focused on personal coaching and helping people in their relationships and providing an emotional context for that. But always I'm trying to bring in my own personal levels and using my own personal experience to open up dialogue with people. So I'm a recovering alcoholic and addict. I've been sober for 7 years now, and that is something that is deeply interesting to people at the executive level because many of them are high functioning alcoholics. And so because of that, I since I've already felt through all of my big feels around that, and gone through my own process for overcoming that, and I'm no longer white knuckling my sobriety, but living joyously, in something that is even more vivid than getting high or getting drunk all the time. People that are miserable because of that particular situation are desperately seeking out help. So a lot of times somebody hires me as a consultant, but I know immediately from a law of attraction perspective that really what they're looking for is somebody who can help them find sobriety. And so, you just have to know what your own experience is and be so processed out on your own experience that the people that need to have that light and need to see that process, and it just naturally comes up, and they're going to find you in whatever way that they find you. And we've Nick and I have talked before on other calls about how copywriting and having like a marketing structure can be an interesting way for you to find alignment with the idea that somebody's going to find you, because it's a mechanism for somebody to find you, but it's not even required. If you're being authentic to your creative impulses, you're going to attract all of the business and clients that you need. You're going to meet them at the grocery store. You're going to meet them, when you go to lunch with someone. It will be impossible for you to not do business with the right people once you're aligned with your process.
Kimberly, I think it is. Feel free.
Hi guys, I'm new here, so I'm just kind of dipping in my toes, but I thought it was interesting because my husband and I last night were actually talking about spirituality and entrepreneurship, and his thing with it is we're at the very beginning of our journey here with with anything. We've had a couple small businesses ourselves and just change of diet. Like our first one was a meat for mutts where we did dehydrated dog treats, and then we became vegan. So we were like, don't really want to process, so like we've been on this journey for a long time. And the thing with my husband is that there's just a part of the spirituality where like you don't want to take time out of being like living your life, like living to your spirituality to market your like life. It's like this balance that I'm trying to find there, like because you actually have to take time out of your life to create this marketing and do this networking, which should be a part of it. So kind of finding more balance in there and like really feeling inspired by the people around me. And so um things like that, like just I understand like the authenticity about it and everything like that, and I don't have any problem doing that. It's just how do I find the direct message? Like I'm such a multifaceted like Jane of all trades type of person, and I'm multidimensional myself. So how do I market and put everything into one message? That's kind of the things that my husband and I are learning and talking about. And we do have a few things like a YouTube channel, and we try to inspire people to go back to nature, kind of get rid of the spending so much money and stuff on bills and more time with family and stuff like that. I'm just chatting. Yeah. And so yeah, and I'd like to be able to do that. And I'm trying to find other people in my life that are marketing and doing stuff like that and feeling inspired in that way. So I think I'm on the right track because, like you said, you'll find people everywhere. It's a vibration, it's the law of attraction. And I just try to focus on like having a good product, good thing for the environment, good thing for people, and focus on what my community needs. And a lot of that, like between my husband and I too, is the marketing. Like a lot of it's social media, and we really aren't about social media. We're about being like face to face, one on one in our local community. So that's what we've been working on. And if anyone has any like things for that, I'd love to do fundraisers. I have like a whole thrifting thing, like giving back to the community to do clothing. I have a seed exchange, a small USPS seed exchange going on. I have like so many projects. So if anyone would ever want to, talk to me and gather all of these different things, I have a shop at my road that I'm just starting, and it's a little bit of this, little bit of that energy work, and kind of like a thrift and trading post of sorts. So my homesteading ladies and I are getting breads, getting veggies, it's trying to inspire other people to grow what they can at home, and then also doing a permaculture blitz. And I will be becoming certified permaculturist, and we own our land. So a lot of people out there are just looking for a property to build their guild so that they can become certified, but no one can find the land to actually build these food forests on. So once I do that, then people could become certified and go and start the food forest in any yard or urban area or any piece of land anywhere. So there's big projects. I'm excited to talk to other people that are kind of like on this same vibration about bringing community together, decentralization, and really using art and creativity as the momentum and the powerhouse to all of this new stuff going on. So thank you.
Thank you a lot for sharing. Missing
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that sounds like you've got a lot of awesome stuff going on, and I'll share an experience of mine that maybe will give some context on how to approach all of that. To some extent, I'm very similar to you. Like I want to do 1,000 things all at once, and I have really challenged myself to focus more narrowly and build success in one thing, and then slowly add on new things. And so that's one piece that I'll give you. But when I left Google, and I was kind of having this spiritual awakening and trying to figure out, what the hell I was doing with my life. I ended up going and working with this beekeeper, and I learned how to tend hives, and I started to pull honey. And this was not a profitable business. They weren't making any money, but it was interesting to me because the bees were really good at helping me carry a meditative space into the real world. Because when you're working with bees, they're very sensitive to incoherent energy in your field, and they're very sensitive to spikes in cortisol levels. So if you can't stay in coherence while you're walking around, and while a bunch of bees that think you're a bear are trying to attack you, if you can't find coherence in that space, you're not going to have a good experience as a beekeeper. So I share this because I didn't know how to turn that into a business. Everything that I had done had been SaaS products, tech world. So I basically used it as an experiment to say, okay, let me find alignment. Let me use this really interesting experience that feels so literally delicious. The honey was the best honey I've ever tasted. Let me use that to find alignment, and then show me if there's an opportunity for me to help this bee farm by growing the business. Show me what that looks like. So I stayed in alignment. I enjoyed the honey. I started to go to farmers markets and literally just sit at a table and sell 5 jars of honey in a day at a time. And what ended up happening is I journaled that best case scenario that I was talking about earlier on the call. I'm not sure if you were here for that or not, Kimberly, but basically I would map out what would be the most ideal way that this could go. So for me, it was like, oh, it would be incredible if we got our honey into Whole Foods or Central Market, or if we were able to find a way to sell this honey online, in mass numbers, or if publications were writing about us. So I just kind of played with like what that best case scenario would look like. If I was going to be really successful as a honey in a honey business, what would that look like? And an interesting thing happened. I didn't have to go and create that experience or write a bunch of copy. Someone connected me with the food buyer at Central Market, and I just went and had a meeting, and all I had to do was bring a jar of honey, and they tasted it, and they were like, "This is amazing." And we got a huge contract with all the Central Markets in Texas off of a whim encounter that I had met. And so that opened us up to a much larger network of people, because now all these other honey sellers and all of these other food vendors in Central Market started to reach out to me. They started telling me about all these farmers markets that we could be at, and how to hire a team, how they had hired teams to run those, how we could be demoing at all these stores, and we started selling a lot of honey. And then I just randomly in the middle of the night one night was inspired to get up and have a cup of tea, and I'm doom scrolling through YouTube, but from an inspired place. And there's this kid from Brazil or Portugal, I'm not exactly sure. And I was like, he was talking about Facebook ads and using them to sell physical products. And it was not even a really well put together presentation, but I had such an intuitive hit that I needed to work with this guy. And he was just getting started in his career. I think it cost me like $190 for his whole course or something. I went through his course and I was so floored at how well it matched up with what I had been seeking out as far as being able to sell honey online, that I wrote some ads based on the formula that he had put together, and I started running them. And the first month we did $7,000 in sales. The next month we did something like 13,000. The next month we did like 25,000, to the point where after 7 months we were doing $100,000 a month in honey sales just on Facebook. And that all came very organically. It never felt like a slog. It never felt like, oh, I guess I'll do this because this is what everybody else does. I just found alignment by working with the bees every single morning and making sure that my nervous system was in coherence. And then I just let that give me the creative impulse and point me in the direction that I needed to go next.
I think that's a great point into what alignment feels like. I mean, we all have the understanding of grinding, right? We don't want to just take this as an excuse to never do any unenjoyable work again or work hard. But to me, also, the best things in my life have come from this flow, just where it really feels effortless. It really feels like the next person you meet puts you in this direction and you take this road. And all of that, you could not have planned it. And it feels magical. And that, for me, is what alignment feels like. It's really easy to get out of that, to be honest. But also, once you learn how to get into that, if you trust it, it gets easier to get into it. And I love that point, because it resonates for me. It can be for anything, for life, for your spiritual life, for your relationships. Again, I don't really make the distinction between spiritual. Everything is spiritual, even the low conscious actions that one might think that's not spiritual, it's spiritual. So yeah, and thank you, man. Taylor, you raise your hand. Feel free.
Well,
Hey,
hey Taylor, one thing that I wanted to add, and then really want to hear what you have to say to just kind of dovetail onto this final thing around the beekeeping experience. So I just explained the alignment side of it, but when we got a contract for Central Market, I freaked out. That was very uncomfortable for me. I did not know how we were going to deliver that product, how we were going to make sure that we were up to the food standards. Like getting that contract opened up a lot of new problems that were great problems to have, but still problems that made me very uncomfortable. So then what did I have to do? I had to feel my big feelings. I had to really just allow all of that discomfort to pass through me and get comfortable with being in that stretch zone, and then the intuition about how to handle all those problems happen. So I don't want to make it seem like, yeah, you're going to get into the flow and then nothing's ever going to go wrong. Like every time you open up and step into a new bigger game, all of the fears and uncertainties of that bigger game are going to turn on, and your job is to feel through all of that, get back to a place of balance, and then act from inspiration again. All right. Thanks for letting me say that, Taylor. What's up?
uh, no problem. You're the co-host. Yeah, I have been in spiritual work for a long time, and it's like if you're good enough at something, you can sell it online. Like if you look at my account, it's monetized. But I mean, I've been through websites over the years that just it's like what ended up happening about the third girlfriend who like started using my schedule on my website against me. I just like said no more websites. But the but the so I get a lot of flack sometimes for just for taking money. But the fact is, if if I weren't to support myself as a psychic on what I do, I couldn't pursue spirituality 100% of the time. And so it's it's like it was an obsession anyway. But if you can make your obsession of spirituality, and I mean, you end up knowing things, and yeah, I'm gifted. Everybody has a measure of intuition naturally, but I don't know, if you pursue something like Muse was saying with every ounce of passion, and like life changed for me because I started doing psychic readings in 2011. 2014 was the first time I cracked 200 grand in a year. So going from one thing to another was that was like one of those aha moment, like, well, I know what I'll be doing for the rest of my life. And what the thing was, the company I was working for was charging people $13 a minute to talk to me and only paying me 4. So I uh I started my own company, and like, you know, all of these psychics, like I have like the best pay rate in the industry. I just straight 50-50 split whatever y'all charge per minute. It's all you, and I'll keep marketing you. And it's like that allows them to, because I know they're going to keep going, 100% of the time in spirituality, as long as I'm paying them enough to work from home. And what this is doing is hopefully in the future, more and more people will come out of the shadows, because there's probably even people in this room who know for sure they're gifted. And it's like happened so many times, but you never talk about it because it's friggin' crazy. No, like, who do you tell? So there are a lot of people who pretend they're not psychic right now in the world, and they're about to get offered like a way better job than most of them have already. So hopefully, I can use pretty much. I mean, because it doesn't matter to me which form of spirituality you chase, it all leads you back to God, right? So but it's like people won't pursue spirituality right now unless you give them a practical purpose for it. And if it's a job, naturally, you know. So I'm hoping to employ more people, more gifted people in the future who want to pursue this. But keeping in mind that everybody's got a little intuition, and while Bruce Lee was just a born fighter, Chris Cornell was just a born musician. Anybody can learn how to do kung fu or play the guitar.
I love that, and I think it's also what you're talking about is you took your life experience, of working with these other businesses, and you kind of needed to go through that to probably map their processes to see how things work, and really to inspire you that, you know what, I could do this on my own. And then from there, then gifting back to the community that you want to build a better way to do it. And without having gone through that first experience of a company kind of taking maybe more than you were comfortable with, you were able to then birth the desire, well, I want to help other people not only develop their gifts, but be able to immediately monetize them. And of course, we all have varying degrees of psychic telekinetic power, and we can grow that, and good consultants are psychics by another name. And
Just quick nerd interruption. It's
yeah.
telepathy. You're talking about telekinesis, and that's like moving
Yeah.
stuff with your mind.
but both. I'm floating the pens in the air right now. Basically, you are a good example of, if somebody is a psychic out there, and this of course happens in every single industry and field, you created a network and an organization where if somebody maybe isn't as up to speed with all of the marketing side of things, or doesn't know how to find clients, they can work with you, or they can work with someone like you in whatever their industry is, and that discomfort that they had around marketing or lead generation basically gets fulfilled by someone else, and so you don't always have to do everything. You can attract other people who will fill in the gaps for you, and sometimes it's really fun to learn how to do everything. Just like when you're working out, you can decide how much of this is because I want to feel good in my body versus how much of this is because I want to climb Mount Everest. So it's ultimately up to what outcomes you're trying to create for yourself. But oftentimes, the easiest way to figure out how to do marketing is to work underneath somebody who's already doing it, or to find an operator that you can hire into your business that already has all that dialed in, and then you learn from that direct experience. Or even, Taylor, like you did, you went and worked for a larger company and mapped their processes, and had the intuition that one, it was the right place at that time, but then also you had the intuition when you had learned enough and it was time to go do your own thing.
Well, and that was no way for me to achieve expert status. Do 10,000 hours in 10 years of psychic readings if I was having to market myself.
That's really, really beautiful. Thanks for sharing, Taylor. And also, I'm using Wizard for sure. It's just for me. It's if we wanted to, or if you had any advice for anyone listening here, let's say they have some gifts, right? So they know they could help someone. They are very much attuned with their spirituality, and at least for my views, or my experience in the past, I could never connect with anyone actually in real life. In any business I've worked, there is no connection at all with spirituality, right? So I would not even have had any clue how to connect like the spirituality that I experienced myself with anyone really, except like in these beautiful online spaces here, right? And I mean, I can imagine that there are many people who are in businesses, they're working in some kind of normal job in quotation marks, and they wouldn't know, let's say they want to do like some kind of psychic reading, right? Or they have some gift that they would like to share. And it comes from a pure place, really. And they have learned something for themselves, at least. And they want to share this with the world, and they want to make a living out of this, right? And the question then is, how would you break this down if someone wants to get started with this, right? So they start at zero, they don't have much business experience, and maybe they're reading like an Alex Hormozy book, so how to get leads, right? So I think that's probably something that you could do just to get some kind of business experience. But on the other hand, I'm very much guilty of this myself. Usually I try to do everything, but it's kind of rare that you are mastered everything, right? So you might be gifted in some part, and you might not really excel in other parts, and maybe you don't know marketing that well, right? And or how to get leads. So it's kind of totally different kind of skill set. And yeah, what I'm curious, what would you advise anyone who wants to
So
get started with this?
yeah, on marketing, if you just for me it was just I when I reach the zone, that's when I start channeling, that's when I start saying things that I needed to hear that I didn't know I knew, you know. So I was chasing that feeling for years, and that's why I got so many hours under my belt. And like, you know, even at $4 a minute, think about it, I was doing 1,000 minutes of talk time per week that whole year. And so that it just it's like the business is too huge to not want to do something more with it, the industry. But it's like finding people like me, that have that passion, that can sit and listen to people's problems and take a genuine interest in them, is it is rare. But there are so many, and I've got probably, I know probably 300 psychics worldwide. And I always say, just jokingly, I'm like, I don't know how psychic you guys are. You seem to trust me. I have what's called or what I call involuntary innocence, and that's when I just kind of like, I'll keep talking, but I don't know what I'm saying, and like I kind of drift off. And then when I come to again, somebody who didn't like me does all of a sudden. I'm like, ah, sucker. I don't know how I do that, but it works every time.
Yeah, well, in flow, like one of the mantras that I have had in corporate consulting, or when I'm consulting on messaging for large, 10,000, 100,000 piece communities, especially in financial industries, like there's so many big emotions when somebody is invested in something. And so designing a communication strategy around that is really about getting into that intuitive flow space. And I think before you joined the call, Taylor,
Well,
we were
then,
talking about channeling the energy of the group, and then letting that message come through so that the language is right for that particular audience.
well, and language is important when it comes to marketing yourself as a psychic. So if you don't know what you're talking about, like you probably shouldn't. And having for me, having just like a general understanding of psychology, uh, that helps my clients because I can help them integrate emotionally. And it's funny, people will come to me, and in 20 minutes, I can solve years of therapy for them because therapists can't give advice. You know, they just have to say, well, here's my suggestion. I'm like, no, do this, and will be the outcome, you know? So integrating emotionally, you know, if you've got like some other skills too, because it's one thing to just say, I can see your future. And it's another thing to have the language that goes along with that. So it's like, you know, you want to have some kind of know your stuff on something like astrology and be able to use that kind of language in your marketing. But with someone that's first starting out, self, it's almost it's like what you would want to do is like find psychic fairs in your area, and once you're sort of good at that, like if you can sit across from people and do those readings, like you can sell yourself online. And it's really easy to just set up a website and just make it a cash register. You place your code for PayPal or whatever in it, and people just go click, and it's like suddenly I have money and there's a time scheduled and I'm good. Or, well, when I don't have girlfriends tracking me.
Yeah, it's funny. I was gonna say the exact same thing, that like if I was somebody who was just starting out, whether as a psychic or whether as, somebody who's doing emotional processing or coaching, that skews more towards the spiritual side, like what I learned from the honey business was that showing up at those local farmers markets sometimes there wasn't a lot of traffic there, but I learned so much from being at those events because I got to talk to other vendors about how they were marketing their stuff. And so if I was just starting out in a spiritual context, maybe you're not ready to talk to executives because you're not confident enough in your ability to deliver the outcome that they would require. But maybe you are ready to talk to people that are already spiritually minded. And so getting a booth at a metaphysical fair for $100 and just talking to people, it's market research. Whether you sell something there or not, you're going to learn a lot about the language that you need to use because everybody's going to come up to your booth with a different perspective, with a different question, with a different life experience. And so just keeping a legal pad there and notating the questions that you hear people asking and the curiosity that people have and starting to work out your sales process in real time is actually a more impactful way to build out what your offer actually is, because in real time you can test a lot of things.
Yeah, it was. Oh, I'm sorry, Key. Kimberly's been waiting for like forever.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I do have to go, but I just wanted to bring up something more personal and interesting is that yesterday a sweet girl came to stay with us, and it's just something that we do in our lives, like we have different visitors come and stuff, and she definitely has spiritual gifts. Like she's very, very gifted. And together
If you don't know a gifted child at this moment in history, you don't know any children. Okay, sorry.
and so she, like, already I have a neighbor asking for our help. Like she wants me to come and say it. Like she just opened up. Like this girl came last night and we tucked her in, started a wood burning stove, and she opened up about her everything. And yeah, it's basically having someone in my life where we are both on the same path as understanding our gifts, and just that entrepreneurship there too, like just like actually having someone, like just a friend, to come and stay with you and be in your life. Like this is like such a great opportunity, and already I've like a neighbor like, please come and sage my house. So I'm like, of course, like I'm already thinking I can bring my friend with me, and like in a way we can be like sisters in the community. Like everywhere we go we can kind of spread this um what we are, and we go to art walks and stuff like that. And instead of having a booth at the art walk, I just wear my art. I just wear like whatever. And then I go and I actually don't buy anything. I don't go with any cash. I just offer to trade. And then I give them my information. I advertise them for free in my little shop. And that's about it. And so, yes, definitely just, it's not just for me, it's not just about marketing, it's just about being who I am and then just letting that naturally come into my energy. And I think I'm about to experience that tenfold with a sweet sister here. And I would love to hear more about your experience, Taylor, because she's definitely, both of us are, we're all very gifted. So thank you for your time and all the information here that I gathered. I'm definitely inspired. I want to go and connect with her and just feel into the nature and feel into this energy and just expand it from here and just like bring that in, because we meet people in our lives, and I just feel very spiritual, likely empowered right now with all of the people here, and it's just very inspiring. Again, inspired. Thanks.
It's too bad child labor laws are so stringent. I could make kids such good psychics.
I actually like, what about just having my own little psychic like thing? I obviously do energy work, so having people come here to the Two Sisters or whatever. We want to
Absolutely.
promote
Having a
things.
website for that and as much Reiki healing in the world as we can have right now is a good thing. So anything you do Reiki style, like you're talking about, man, that's great. Advertise it. Put up a website. You could get something that goes along with your whatever you're doing, and it be a .com, something that's somewhat short and people remember even, but it's more of like that cash register thing. Like you'll know how many people are showing up today because of how many people paid. You know, and for me, I like I'll wait till people are on the phone. And it's like, or till after the reading. Sometimes it's like, no, and it's like, no, if you aren't willing to pay me my price and write me a 5-star review, then I didn't do it right. You know?
Kimber, thank you. I mean, if something there's a couple of things that I take from here, and I'm also very inspired by all of you. And it's pretty much keeping it simple. Like Taylor, I agree. I mean, me and self, we love. I'm a software engineer, and I love overcomplicating things sometimes. So I mean, it's just keeping it simple, getting started, and not part of this is also exposing who you really are, because while it's easy to say we don't care what other things, we do care what other things, but do we care about those who we really should care about think, or what parts of us we really care about? And we hide things, we hide talents, we hide this on the other space, hiding our consciousness or our spirituality in fear of being judged, or in fear of making others feel awkward. And that's also a very bad strategy. And this is why we tend to complicate it, because we try to hold space in the mind to accommodate for all these scenes, for all these factors. What if someone thinks this word is stupid? What if someone thinks this is cringe? And I mean, I've noticed it myself. You lose too much energy in that. It's just you get into decision paralysis. And I mean, I'm just feeling like I should do less coding and more spirituality. And this is definitely like a realization I'm having right now with you guys, like
Man,
meaning.
I was,
Yeah, so
I
meaning
was,
and really a deeper meaning. Yeah, go ahead, man.
I was gonna have a space eventually that's just nothing but people speaking their dreams, visions, and encounters with aliens. It's like I was so surprised at how many people have had those, and it's like, and everybody's so afraid to share. So it's like, if you've got a psychic in it, it's like, you can't scare me. Don't worry. It's like, get weird on me. I think that would be somewhat healing, but it would take probably it'd be like a 12-hour space. People would not. I don't think people would shut up if they were given the safety to like say what they've really been seeing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Also,
you
adding
go.
to this, what you said there, right? We're both totally, we tend to overcomplicate stuff, and we spend lots of time in just creating kind of a website, and it's still a learning journey for us anyway. So it's amazing to meet awesome people like in this space here, and to really see their perspectives and how they're just doing it, right? Just so we just by hosting this space here, and also the podcast that we did in the beginning of the year. But interestingly, there weren't that interactive, and here, like in this space, it is very interactive. And going back to the question you had, Kimber, earlier about how to get started, or maybe also in terms of content, we also don't know really what we're doing, to be honest, right? We're just posting content. And I really like what you said, Musing Wizard, about like kind of the energetic vibes that you put out there. They attract your tribe ultimately. So you send something out, and there will be some response back, right? And this is what we're experiencing in this very moment here. So we have this beautiful conversation with Musing Wizard, and also Nick and Maria, and many others. And we plan to have many more in the future, where people just show up. And I mean, it's just beautiful to share this here. And we don't have that much, or at least I don't have that much business experience yet. So it's more like an engineering mindset, and we try to create like this perfect system, but it doesn't exist, right? There is no perfect system. It's just getting started is the perfect system in a sense. You just get started and get better, and there's definitely the tendency to be afraid to share your true self, right? And to uh, be afraid of the judgments of people. So what if I say something stupid, right? And we probably say something stupid all the time. That's the thing, right? And that's the point, maybe, and just to embrace that and love yourself anyway, and just getting over those fears and getting over those traumas. And I think I also like what you said earlier. I'm using wizard about like they're highly functional alcoholics, right? So I'm not. I've never been an alcoholic myself, but I know I know people who are alcoholics, and they. I think that there's some kind of suffering. Definitely, maybe you can talk about this if you like. What your experience was. You mentioned you had you were an alcoholic in the past, but I can imagine there are many who are probably afraid to reach out to anyone. Maybe they don't know anyone really, but who could help them really overcome this. And maybe secretly they would hope, okay, what if just someone would just listen to me? And I'm just thinking this by itself could be quite valuable even to executives. So maybe there's so much at the top and so much really just executing and hustling every day, but maybe deep down their heart there's some kind of suffering or some kind of trauma, and they don't know anyone really to talk to. I can imagine this could be valuable just in itself, but I guess my advice would be, and that's something, the advice I would give to us, both of us really, uh just to get started earlier. So we just hesitated for so long, and we wanted to share. We were speaking about this like last space with Nick, and just we wanted to share already years ago, or at least we're talking about it. And just in the beginning of this year we did it, and it's just the main advice I would give to people is just get started anyway. So otherwise people wouldn't know that you exist. So but yeah, it's really beautiful so far. So if anyone has any questions, I think Nick raised his hand, but now he just dropped off, if I understand, if I see it correctly.
Yeah, he's off. I think he's. But it would be a good time to wrap up the space. I mean, it was beautiful. So many points. I think I learned a lot. Again, thank you, Musing. Thank you, everyone. And yeah, everyone who shared or who listened. I hope this helps, because to me it feels again like hacking a little bit. I found some place where there's insane value. Musing, Tyler, everyone sharing stuff that it's really high quality. It's really rare. I mean, again, I say it, high consciousness expertise mixed up in real life is hard to find. It's a rare skill. It's a rare value. So I am incredibly thankful to be here and to be able to absorb it what I can with my level of consciousness, right? We do what we can with the level of consciousness we have. I really believe that phrase. So no need to punish yourself. But I am thankful to be here, man. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. I mean, if everyone wants to add anything, feel free. Else, thank you.
Yeah, I guess just the final thing that I'll say before we drop off, and one, thank you both for hosting the space and inviting me in. I feel really honored to be in conversation with everyone on this space, and it's fun to use these spaces to work out the language. But I really wanted to dovetail onto what Self was saying about just getting started, because that's it. And you don't need a website. You need a PayPal account or a Venmo account, or you know, a box that people can drop cash into. Like starting to charge money for something is the first step, and you're going to immediately be confronted with all of the discomfort that comes from that. And that's your next step, is to feel through all of that. I make hundreds of thousands of dollars a year as a consultant, and I don't have a website. And so anybody can start doing this work, and you will, when you find alignment, align with the right opportunity. The right opportunity will invite you in. It will find you, and you just have to get out of that seeking energy where you're desperately trying to find it on your own, and recognize that when you are in energetic balance and coherence in your body, you become a magnet for the opportunity, and the opportunity comes to you. It doesn't have to be the other way around. And then you'll be inspired at that point in time to build the website or to hire the operating team, whatever it is. Like, that will come as inspiration as creative impulse, but you don't need any of that to get started and to start making money. And money is what? It's energy. It's an energy exchange. So think about it not as, oh, I need this to pay my bills. No, I need this to balance the energy of the universe in exchange with others, because I'm going to be delivering so much value to the people that hire me. And if you can go about it from that framework and really find that coherence in your body around that, and you do that by thinking about, okay, I want to charge $300 an hour. I'm going to do this for that. I'll accept Venmo payments at first, and when people DM me, I'll tell them that I'm available for a 1-hour consult around these things, and that we can really work out a lot of stuff. Well, if you've never done that before, all kinds of uncertainty and fear is going to come up, but you have to set that price, even if it's $30 for an hour. You have to set some price and start from there and get up to speed with your own offering. And the only way to do that is to put it out there. So I appreciate everybody who contributed to the conversation, and for being invited in as a host. Would love to do more of these in the future. And everyone, enjoy your day or evening wherever you are in the world.
Thank you, man. And everyone, go. I also missing you have a YouTube channel already subbed. I really recommend anyone to sub. I mean, it's natural. You heard missing is you're a source of value, man. It's like you say. I mean, you just spit value out all the time. Thank you. It's really amazing to be here. Have a nice day, guys. Have a nice life.
Bye, everybody.
Bye. Thanks.